Hello, you're listening to Hugo Talks. There is an agenda behind everything, and sometimes you can see it coming a mile off. Sometimes it takes until you see the media response or the government response. And after seeing this today, I can see the link between the digital ID, the passports, and this petrol thing going on. I believe we are seeing the true agenda behind all of this petrol nonsense in the UK. And it's following the classic problem, reaction, solution theme. So it all started last week with, we've got a few petrol stations that don't have petrol. It's not a problem, but the government and the media and their over-exaggeration causes panic buying, which they knew it would. The public, they've really got to stop falling for these traps because that's what they are. And every trap is being left in order to take more freedoms away from you, more restrictions imposed on you, no matter who you are or whether you've had the jab or not. So we have had the media propaganda amplifying the fear that petrol was going to run out, which it wasn't, but the public, unfortunately, so many of them being selfish and cowardly, went rushing out in a panic to get petrol, causing queues, which gave the media an excuse to sensationalise it even more, and it's still going on now. Then the government come out and point to the public and say, "This is all your fault. Look what you people have done with your panic buying." When it was them, the government and the media, who started the panic in the first place in order to bring in the agenda. One, of course, is to limit petrol, to limit fuel. Another one is to keep the public in a constant sense of anxiety. We've also got headlines saying today, look, ban petrol stations for non-key workers. But more interestingly, look at this story. Health workers should be given priority access to fuel in UK, says senior doctor. Some senior doctor nobody has ever heard of before, telling Number 10, there is real risk NHS staff will not be able to do their jobs as pumps run dry. The pumps may have run dry just because a lot of people went and got petrol on a certain day, but they will soon be full up. It's not a big issue, but now they can make out they are in a terrible situation, blame the public because so many suckers fell for the trap. It says here, Number 10 is facing calls to give ambulance drivers, healthcare staff and other essential workers priority access to fuel after panic buying caused shortages across the UK, with ministers due to meet on Monday afternoon to discuss the growing crisis. The British Medical Association, BMA, called for emergency measures to let medical staff fill up, warning that as pumps run dry, there is a real risk that NHS staff won't be able to do their jobs. It continues, emergency and essential workers rely on fuel both to travel to work and for their work itself, whether this is to get to hospitals, practices, other healthcare settings, and so on, blah, 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 blah. London puppet mayor Sadiq Khan. Not only does he want the army to be delivering petrol, but he also said the government must urgently look at taking the necessary steps, putting such measures in place so that those key workers who have to drive to work can do so. We will continue to monitor developments closely and advise the government on required actions, he says. So basically, what it looks like to me is that they want to make it so that only people working for the government and essential workers will be prioritised to get petrol, leaving other people not able to get petrol whenever they wish to implement it. And how will that work? How will they make that work? Let me guess. Will it be something added to the jab passport, which when you go and get your petrol, you have to show and scan to verify to the petrol station that you're an essential worker? And when they lock down again in October, or whenever it's going to be, will it be used to stop people from travelling? Will that continue to be used to keep people at home? It will be like, we're going into hard lockdown. Everybody's going to have to stay home. Only essential workers should be going to work. Only essential workers can fill up their car at petrol stations. Is that the idea? This would also stop many people travelling to protests in a lockdown. There's a lot of things here at play. It would also once again be another factor, another thing to tie people to their phones, to the app, you know? Every event, it seems to have an agenda behind it. I mean, we're living in Alice in Wonderland. It's a story in the media that if we follow it, it usually leads to the digital imprisonment of your life with a passport, a cashless society, a social credit system, a digital ID, tracked, tagged, traced and monitored everywhere we go. Our access to services, access to money, just cancelled at the flick of a switch. Your ability to live your life stopped at any moment if you don't do what the government want. And that's where this story is leading. All stories lead to that ending, at least in the mainstream media. And once again, the public have fallen hook, line and sinker for a story, gone out and panic buyed at the petrol station, and they've helped it along. That's why when, and if this idea of using passports to verify you're an essential worker to get petrol happens in the future, which I think it will, you shouldn't do it. That will also be playing into the agenda, causing division, causing the us and them scenario. People have to stand united and say no, full out strike if you have to. Like I said, it will only get worse if you keep going along with these fantasy storylines in the mainstream media. We have to create our own story, or just refuse to play along with these stories and say no, and then take it from there. Okay? So look, I'm thinking about getting a forum set up on the site for people to connect, for people to network. I'm not sure about it yet, but I'm trying to look at a few things. But if I do decide to go ahead, I will need some moderators. So if you would like to be a moderator on the new forum, let me know. It would be best if we've had an email conversation before, so that I know of you in some instance, or if we've spoken before. So give me a shout if you're interested in that. Put moderator at the top of your email so I know what it's about, or in the title of the email. And if I decide to go ahead with it, I'll get back to you. As always, keep the faith, stay strong. Come and subscribe to the tribe at hugotalks.com, a place for like-minded souls who don't follow the fake stream media.